What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the last video for today. Um, this video is called "The Most Terrifying Killer: The Jayme Closs Case." If I butchered the name, I apologize. This is by MrBallen. You might know him from TikTok, which, we already know how cringy TikTok is, but he makes it, somewhat bearable on TikTok. And he's moved over to the YouTube side of things, telling the story in full detail, or at least to his knowledge or to his expense. If you haven't heard of MrBallen, he's a YouTuber slash TikToker who makes videos about certain things like certain murders, certain murder cases, certain urban legends, stuff like that. He's on like the what do I call it? He's a story time type of YouTuber, but not really. He doesn't talk about himself. He's more in talks about other people's story to the best of his ability. I actually fuck with MrBallen. I think he's a very good TikToker and YouTuber. It's because of his energy and his approach to things. So, yeah. If you guys like this video, please give it a like, subscribe. Go over to MrBallen, subscribe, like his videos. And yeah, let's get scared.
Cases like this don't happen. Hey, what's going on, guys? MrBallen here. You probably know me from TikTok. In fact, I bet there's a percentage of people that are on this YouTube video.
I am sorry, MrBallen, but we are going to skip
This stuff. So please, if you enjoy this video and you like my content, please subscribe. Please stick around. So, with today's case, the Jayme Closs case,
You got more followers than me, bro.
I don't. This one and making a TikTok version of it, now a YouTube version of it, is actually pretty straightforward. It's because even though it's true, if you were to make a movie out of this case, the viewers wouldn't really believe it because the perpetrator in this case has no motive and has no history of committing any crimes. I think he had a parking ticket. And he targets a child. Putting that all together, you don't see that. That is not a popular archetype for a movie.
What?
The idea that there are just random, perpetrators out there just targeting random children and harming them and their family.
How fucked up do you have to be to do that sort of thing, dude? Really? 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 Really?
There has to be a motive, especially when it comes to children being involved. There has to be a motive.
Yeah.
And in this case, there really wasn't. And even the perpetrator, when he was in prison, he wrote a letter to Jayme and her surviving family members where he kind of tried to explain why he did it, but even he didn't have strong enough language to communicate what it was. He made it seem like it was pretty complicated, and even he didn't know. He just said, "Hey, look, I'm not a serial killer. I just had to do this, and I don't really know why." So it's just one of the more disturbing cases when you go into it knowing that this whole thing
Is there viewer discretion? I don't know.
By someone who had no criminal history. He had no connection to the victims except that he randomly had a chance encounter with one of them. And it just kind of happened. It's just one of those horrible things that even now no one really understands, including the killer himself. So let's dive into it. In 2018, 21-year-old Jake Patterson is on his way to work at a cheese factory in Wisconsin. He'd only been working there for a couple of days. This is like his third day on the job. He's this kind of typical guy leading a typical life in Wisconsin. And he's driving his Ford Taurus. He comes to a stop behind a school bus where middle school kids are getting on the bus. And he's sitting there and he looks up and he sees...
Oh, no. Oh no. No, bro. Come on, bro. Don't say what I think.
First time in his life, a blonde-haired, green-eyed girl who ended up being 13-year-old Jayme Closs. And as he's sitting there, because this all came out in a very lengthy confession, so we have lots of details about this case. As he's sitting there, watching Jayme, who again he doesn't know, get on the bus, he has this realization that she is going to be the girl that he takes. He actually says that. And sitting behind the wheel, he's like, I realize right then and there that she's the one I'm going to take. And so a guy with no criminal history, he's sitting there coming up with this plan of how he's going to abduct this girl.
What a loser.
It would come out later in his confession, which again was very lengthy, that he put a ton of effort into planning out this abduction. So let's talk about Jake's plan. He takes his father's Mossberg 12-gauge shotgun, which is a very commonly purchased weapon. He assumed that because it is so widely purchased, it would be hard to track. Okay, so he takes his gun, takes a couple slugs, so he's got his weapon. Then he goes and purchases a balaclava, so a mask, a whole head mask from Walmart. He shaves his head, shaves his beard so that there wouldn't be any hairs, for forensic evidence at the crime scene. This is all so premeditated. He went out and purchased gloves and wiped his gloves all so they wouldn't have prints on them. He purchased steel-toed boots and dark jeans and a dark jacket. In the car he was going to use, because he plans on abducting Jayme, and he knew he was going to be keeping her in the trunk. He cut the cord inside of his vehicle. It was when you press this button inside the car, it would open the trunk. Basically, he didn't want any access to the trunk unless you had the key. So he cuts that cord. He disconnected the dome light inside of his Ford Taurus, to try to better conceal him when he's in the car. I mean, this guy, he's really thinking hard about how he's going to do this. He knew he was going to go in that house. He's going to take Jayme.
He puts so much.
Plan, right?
He puts so much. He puts so much effort into doing that, but he don't. Okay, bro.
Jake tried.
You put all this time and effort into doing that when you could be putting that time and effort into something, that helps people. What a loser, bro.
And he's about to drive up the driveway when lights come on, so he leaves again. But on October 15th, 2018, unfortunately, he was successful. It was around midnight when Jake Patterson rolls into the Closs family's driveway. The lights in his car are off, the headlights are off, and he rolls into the driveway. And inside of this very modest home, Jayme was sleeping with her dog, Molly. And Molly hears the car pull into the driveway and starts barking. Wakes up Jayme. Jayme looks out, she sees a car she doesn't recognize, it's the middle of the night, and she runs to her parents' room. She alerts her parents. Jayme's father, James, he goes to the front door with a flashlight. Meanwhile, Denise, that's Jayme's mother, and Jayme retreat into the bathroom where they shut the door. They sense that this was potentially going to be a home invasion, and certainly they were right. So they actually barricade the door with the dresser that was in there. They get in the tub, they shut the curtains. And so James is at the front door, and he watches Jake Patterson get out of his car, calmly walk up the steps to the front door. And at this time, James is thinking that perhaps this is the police. And so when Jake arrives at the door and starts banging on the door, James shines his light out through the window, kind of gets a peek at him, and moves over to the door itself, where there's this little tiny window on the door. And he looks through, shining the light, and he says, "Show me your badge." And unfortunately, it was at the same time that Jake raises his shotgun and pulls the trigger, shoots right to the glass, hits James, and James dies immediately. Back in the bathroom, Jayme would later say that when she heard that shotgun blast, that she knew that her father was dead. And I think Denise, her mother, knew that as well, because immediately Denise picks up the phone and calls 911 as she's talking to the dispatcher, who said that there were no police in the area, so further confirming that this was definitely not the police, because they didn't see that interaction at the door, they just heard it. Jake, at the front door, is trying to bust in the door. He can't do it, so he takes a shotgun shotgun, ejects a spent round, and then puts a slug through the doorknob, making it wide open. He pushes it open, steps over the body of James, and begins to search the house. The house is empty, every door is open except one. It's the bathroom door where Denise and Jayme are hiding in the bathroom. Jake begins to try to push the door open. He can't do it. And finally, he just starts trying to smash the door. And after 10, 15 blows, he actually managed to split the top half of the door open as the dresser was blocking the lower half. He goes into the bathroom and he rips down the shower curtain, and there is Denise bear hugging and protecting her daughter, Jayme, in the tub. Jake hands duct tape to the mother, Denise, and tells her to put duct tape over the mouth and the hands of her daughter. She refuses, protecting her daughter. Jake sets his shotgun down, pushes Denise aside, and does it himself. Then, after getting Jayme out of the tub, he picks his shotgun up again, aims it at the mother, turns his head, and he pulls the trigger and kills the mother. Picks up Jayme. She's only about 5 foot, 100 pounds.
This dude is a fucking prick, bro. A fucking prick, bro. This is.
Drags her out to his car, opens up the trunk of his Taurus, puts her in, shuts it, and he's on his way. He was in the house for a total of 4 minutes. He would say in his confession, Jake, that as he's driving away, about 20 seconds after departing the house, he saw all the cop cars coming down the road, and actually police officers would say they remembered a Taurus yielding to police cruisers as they came in. He makes his way around them, and off he goes. And Jayme would say she remembered hearing the sirens and then they fade as they disappear. Jake would drive 70 miles to his house, where he would keep.
He's such a fucking prick, bruh. What a fucking asshole.
Jayme in prison. For the next 3 months, investigators, the local population, everybody is looking for Jayme. And at the same time, I mean, people didn't have high hopes for her safe return. I mean, in the vast majority of cases like these, where a child's been abducted, unfortunately, they usually don't get home safe. And so the whole community is just devastated. This is gaining national attention. Everybody's looking for Jayme. They can't find her. The whole time, she was being held 70 miles away in Jake Patterson's cluttered, kind of crummy house that was out in the middle of the woods. When they got to his house, he burned her clothes and his gloves and the duct tape. He gave her his sister's pajamas, and then he had her go under the bed, this bed he had in the house, and he barricaded her underneath the bed. So she had a pillow and a blanket, and she was just underneath this bed. That was it. She basically was ignored. I mean, her captor, Jake Patterson, he puts her in the bed, and he warns her, if you leave or try to escape, bad things are going to happen to you. And because she did witness him kill her parents, she knows he's capable of that, and he knows that she knows that he's capable of that. So he had this stranglehold on her where he basically just said, "You're staying in the bed. Don't you dare leave." And she listened. Frankly, you can't blame her, right? And so she would go stretches of 8, 10, 12 hours of laying under the bed with no food, no water, no bathroom breaks. But ultimately, she was just kind of ignored. There wasn't really a plan for what was going to happen when she got to the house. He just kind of neglected her. After 2 weeks where he was really on guard, and he told her that he was keeping a shotgun right outside her door in case anything went down with the police, when no one came looking for them, or when no one arrived in his place, he felt very confidently that he got away with his crimes, to the point where he actually, Jayme would say, he started having guests over. He had friends over, and he just told her, "Stay in the room, don't come out." And so for 87 days, that's how it was. She just was neglected. This poor girl was underneath this bed, and just wondering what the heck's going to happen. With obviously no time to grieve the loss of her parents. Mr. Patterson, he really didn't leave the house. And when he did, I think he left one time to visit a grandparent, and he was very aggressive in warning her that he would hurt her if she tried to leave. But for the most part, he didn't leave the house. But you can tell, in looking at this case, that he became fairly confident that he was just going to get away with this. And so he actually applied for a job. And he left one morning to go to the interview. It's kind of funny, on his his application that he's an honest, hardworking guy, and under skills. He said he doesn't have much work experience, but he shows up to work and is a quick learner. And so here he goes. He goes out to just get a job and go back to normal. And when he left that morning, Jayme, who's under the bed, she's done. She's not going to be a captain anymore. And as soon as he leaves, she pushes aside the barricade, and there's some weights that were there.
Yes.
So she pushes it all aside.
Leave. Get the fuck out,
Out.
bro.
She puts on his shoes, which are too big for her. She puts them on the wrong feet, and she runs out the door. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know anything, but she's gone. A woman was walking her dog around 4 p.m. Her name was Jeannie Nutter, and she sees this girl, this teenager, who doesn't have a coat on. She doesn't have gloves on. It's bitterly cold. They're in the middle of Wisconsin in the wintertime. And she sees her coming towards her, and she can tell, kind of instinctively, that something's wrong. Okay, this is not just some nice kid coming down the road. There's an issue here. And as she got closer, and the girl said, "I'm lost. I need help. My name is Jayme." The woman, Jeannie, said that she immediately knew who it was. She lived in the area, and she had seen the posters up for Jayme. Exactly who she was. She gave her a big hug and held her.
Wow, bro. I thought she was going to die, bro.
And said, "I've got you. I'm going to take care of you." And so holding her closely, she brings her to a nearby neighbor's house. She said, "This is Jayme Closs. We have to call the police." If they go in there, and the homeowners got their weapons out, and they guarded the door, and they huddled around Jayme while Jeannie called the police. And the police just didn't even know what to do. They were so shocked that they had found Jayme Closs that it actually took a minute for them to recognize what they were saying and how urgent it was that you come here right now, because at some point her captor, who can't be that far away, is going to recognize that she's not there anymore. So they send the police, and luckily Jayme's brought in and is saved.
God, thank God she was found alive, bro.
Certainly not from the emotional toll.
Fuck that dude, bro.
She's physically safe. Jake comes home from his big job interview, and
Big job
she's
interview.
gone, and he sees footsteps leaving his property in the snow, and he goes out looking for her, and just because this is the way things go sometimes.
He looks like a fucking prick, bro. Look at this prick.
And as soon as he was pulled over, he didn't resist. In fact, he immediately identified himself and said that he did it. Jake Patterson was given a life sentence without the opportunity for parole, so he will die in prison. But to this day, no one really understands how this could have happened. And going back to what I said at the beginning, cases like this don't happen. There's always some reason for a crime such as this. We can't, as human beings, accept that some stranger has the ability to randomly target a child and go as far as to kill their parents in front of them and hold them hostage when they have no criminal history. There's no red flags. It just, he happened to see her getting on a bus, and that was all he needed. How could that possibly be the case? But in this unfortunate case, it just is. So that's gonna do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this.
Because he's crazy. What about that? Maybe because he's fucking crazy. Fuck him, bro. Hope he has life in prison. Hope he dies in fucking prison. Like, what the fuck you doing? Like, why are you doing that stupid shit? Why are you doing that crazy ass shit, bro? Like, oh, god damn. This was interesting. I'm glad that she's alive. She was found alive. But it's fucking crazy. This is why you need a gun, people. This is why. This is exactly why. Oh. But I feel bad for the parents. They died in a fucking horrible way. A horrible way. What a low-life prick, bro. But yeah, if you guys did like this video, please give it a like, subscribe. Go over to MrBallen, subscribe to his channel, like his videos, because he does make interesting content. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.